While most of the country chokes on six-figure mortgages and rents that require multiple side hustles, there are forgotten corners of America quietly offering homes so cheap it feels illegal. These places exist in the economic twilight zone, where a three-bedroom house costs less than a year of student loan payments and property taxes barely register as a line item. We're ranking 11 towns where home prices are suspiciously low, from absolute disaster zones to surprisingly decent bargains. Some offer lakefront living for the price of a decent vacation. All of them come with that universal question: what's the catch? One town on this list has ghost tours run by the mayor. Another sits in Tornado Alley. And trust me, you're not ready for what the Rust Belt is serving up. So subscribe and buckle up, because we're about to tour America's clearance section. Dead last in our rankings sits Harlingen, Texas, where you can rent a three-bedroom house for less than a studio apartment in Tulsa. Yes, Tulsa. Located deep in the Rio Grande Valley, Harlingen offers palm trees, perpetual sunshine, and the kind of prices that make California real estate agents burst into tears. Houses average around $136,000, which sounds amazing until you realize crime rates dance 35% above national averages, with car break-ins and theft topping the charts like they're competing for Olympic gold. The job market moves at the pace of a DMV branch, with unemployment rates consistently above national averages. But wait, there's more! Traffic laws here are basically suggestions. I watched someone signal left, turn right, then back into a Whataburger like it was all part of one fluid dance move. Nobody honked. Everyone just accepted it as Tuesday in Harlingen. The nearest decent shopping is whatever Dollar Tree is having a sale, and your entertainment options include sweating, complaining about sweating, and maybe catching a mariachi band if you're lucky. Would you trade functional infrastructure for tacos that'll make you weep with joy? Because that's basically the Harlingen deal. Amazing food, endless heat, and neighbors who know your Amazon delivery schedule better than you do. If you think cheap rent justifies living in a place where seasons are just rumors, and every day feels like punishment for something you did in a past life, then Harlingen is for you. Welcome to Decatur, the soybean capital of the world, where you can buy a three-bedroom for under $90,000 and permanently smell like you live inside a bottle of soy sauce. This place has more processing plants than some small countries and enough agricultural ambition to make Iowa jealous. I'm talking factory steam fogging up your sunrise while you grab gas station coffee that tastes like your gym socks. Your neighbor's been shoveling soybeans off his porch since Bush Sr. was president, and honestly, he seems genuinely happy about it. The locals treat stop signs like polite suggestions from a government they don't particularly trust. Crime here runs 54% higher than national average, which means you're locking your car at church and probably triple-checking your doors before bed. The social scene revolves around the VFW and restaurants that close before most people think about dinner. If you're under 40, your dating pool consists of whoever shows up to the grain elevator on Friday nights. But here's the thing, your mortgage will be smaller than most people's car insurance, and the weather provides enough natural drama to keep life interesting. It's either so humid you're basically swimming through air, or windy enough that your garbage can relocate to Indiana. Are you tough enough to live somewhere that smells like takeout 3 days a week? If you're ready for an agricultural adventure, then Decatur would be happy to have you. Enid sits in Oklahoma like nature's experiment in how much wind can one town handle before everyone just gives up and moves somewhere calmer. Houses cost about $128,000, which sounds reasonable until you realize Oklahoma wind doesn't just blow. It has personal vendettas against lawn furniture and your will to live. The locals measure distance and drive time to casinos and consider 90-degree heat not too bad yet. They wave at you just for having a face, which is sweet until you realize it's because the constant wind has made everyone slightly unhinged. Your trash can will develop its own migration pattern, and tumbleweeds have more social mobility than college graduates. Job market? Hope you love aviation or government work, because that's basically it. Unless you're really into grain elevators, excitement is permanently backordered. Every coffee shop closes at 3 p.m. because apparently caffeine after lunch is against local ordinance. And your entertainment choices involve gas station hot dogs that have been rotating since morning, or cappuccino that tastes like prairie dust mixed with sour milk. The silence here is so profound, you'll start naming the tumbleweeds. I'm not kidding. Locals have been known to develop emotional attachments to specific pieces of rolling vegetation. Your biggest social decision involves choosing between high school football and arguing about weather at the Walmart. Could you survive where the wind has anger issues and Starbucks is a 40-minute drive? Maybe keep watching to find a better fit. Plenty more to see here. Mission drops you in the Rio Grande Valley where it's hot, cheap, and suspiciously quiet after 10 p.m. like the whole town has a collective bedtime. Houses average $98,000, but you'll spend that much again on industrial-grade air conditioning and enough bug spray to supply a small army. Step outside, and you're hit with humidity so thick you could chew it. Mariachi music from 3 backyards over, and the delicious smell of fajitas that'll make you forget why you ever lived anywhere cold. Your neighbor's already on his 3rd shirt of the day because in Mission, seasons don't exist. Just different levels of sweat stain. The drivers here have exactly 2 speeds, Sunday Cruise and Fast and Furious, Border Edition. Someone's always doing burnouts in the HEB parking lot at midnight, and meal choices include Whataburger and Whataburger. Fire ants patrol every yard like tiny dictators with serious boundary issues. Crime stays below national average, which is great news that gets overshadowed by every cable news story that makes people think you live in a Netflix action series. Your entertainment includes year-round sunshine, a pace so slow it's basically meditative, and mosquitoes the size of small aircraft. Are you built for perpetual summer where your calendar skips winter entirely? If you're ready for subtropical living but no air conditioning is a life or death relationship, then sure, move to Mission. Springfield, where you can buy a house for under $110,000, visit Honest Abe's tomb, and still get mugged outside a Taco Bell at 3 p.m. Being the state capital should mean something, but Springfield feels like someone took a government building and dropped it into your uncle's garage. The locals discuss the state budget like fantasy football drafts, except nobody wins, and everyone's equally bitter about the outcomes. Weather here operates on its own schedule. It'll be winter until suddenly it's 85 and humid, like someone wrapped the entire city in wet newspaper. You can literally sweat and shiver in the same afternoon. And even the squirrels have learned to take shelter in mailboxes during weather emergencies. Crime-wise, we're talking nearly double the national average, making Springfield one of Illinois' most dangerous cities, and that includes Chicago in the comparison. Your GPS will take you the long way around because streets randomly close for political protests that somehow evolve into hot dog cookouts. Because apparently, that's just Tuesday in the capital. Your biggest neighbor complaint involves fireworks being treated as a year-round personality trait, and you'll invest in home security that costs more than 3 months of mortgage payments. But hey, your housing costs won't require organ donation, and you can literally bump into the governor at Casey's if that's your thing. Ready to live where Abraham Lincoln is the main tourist attraction and politics feels like performance art? I'll pass on the chaos. Everyone knows Flint's reputation, but what if I told you the city's quietly rebuilding while offering houses so cheap it feels like a clerical error? We're talking $69,000 average, less than most people drop on college textbooks, and infinitely more useful than not being homeless. Downtown's getting genuinely cool with real artists, actual developers, and hipsters moving into renovated buildings. There's even a mural tour and coffee shops that aren't gas stations' coffee pots. But let's keep it real. Violent crime runs 4 times the national average, and property crime makes Ring doorbells feel less like paranoia and more like basic adulting. You're inheriting citywide trust issues, infrastructure that plays hide-and-seek with basic services, and potholes so deep they're basically portals to automotive dimensions. Some streets still don't have working lights, making night driving feel like Mad Max Rust Belt edition. But you're also getting space, freedom, and equity that actually builds, instead of just making your landlord richer. The math is wild. Buy a house for pocket change, fix it up yourself, plant tomatoes in your backyard where the air smells like old Motown records and grilled kielbasa. You might need window bars and a backup generator, but you're also front row for one of America's most interesting urban experiments. Flint has more murals than working fountains, which somehow isn't even a joke. Are you tough enough for a comeback story in progress? If you have the stones for the challenge, Flint, Michigan is a viable option. Toledo calls itself the Glass City from back when it actually made things instead of just talking about making things. Now it's a low-cost experiment in Rust Belt reinvention where houses average $115,000 and come with proximity to a world-class zoo and neighbors who will help shovel your snow, then offer you chili. Crime runs about twice national average. Not life-threatening, just annoying enough to make you lock your garbage can and wonder why every yellow light feels like a personal challenge to local drivers. You've got neighborhoods that thrive next to others where you keep your car running to check the mail, creating real-life games of safe or sketchy that keep things interesting. Weather here operates on pure chaos, snow when it's supposed to be sunny, rain during parades, and summers that transform into mosquito season with humidity so thick you could bottle it. You'll spend less on housing than most people drop on gym memberships, but you might lose tires to potholes that qualify as geographical features. The job market won't make you rich, but might let you actually own something instead of renting forever. Plus, you get genuine Midwest friendliness without the pretense, and a downtown that's figuring out what it wants to be when it grows up. Would you gamble on a city that's tougher than it looks and cheaper than it should be? Maybe you need some guarantees about the city if uncertainty makes you nervous. Yeah, that's Scranton, the one that made Jim and Pam famous, launched Biden's political career, and has enough coal history to power steampunk conventions. Houses here go under $110,000 in a blue-collar city that's been slowly crawling back from the 1980s economic collision, like a boxer who refuses to stay down. Your century-old brick house comes with space, character, and mortgage payments smaller than your phone bill. Downtown has this weird mix of actually cool coffee shops next to vape stores with hand-painted signs that make you wonder if graphic design classes just don't exist in northeastern Pennsylvania. Crime stays surprisingly normal, typical urban stuff that makes Ring doorbells reasonable investments rather than panic purchases. Road conditions suggest someone paved them during an earthquake. I hit a pothole so deep on Lackawanna Avenue that I genuinely thought my car was attempting interdimensional travel. Parking is its own special nightmare. Everything's parallel only, on a 45-degree incline, squeezed between a fire hydrant and someone's 1997 Civic that hasn't moved since the first Bush administration. Weather? Forget about it. You'll get all 4 seasons in a single week, sometimes in the same day. I watched someone sledding down a hill in April, and the locals just shrugged like, yeah, that's Wednesday in Scranton. The city's comeback is real with new businesses opening, and young people actually moving back. But it's also covered in enough construction dust to qualify as its own weather system. Still, you get friendly locals, genuine character, and housing that doesn't require a side hustle to afford. Are you ready for a town where sitcom references never end and progress comes with a side of sarcasm? Maybe you are ready to live somewhere that's genuinely trying to rebuild but still has potholes that could swallow a Volkswagen whole. Rochester transforms from Kodak's former headquarters into a low-cost haven for people who refuse to pay $3,000 for closet-sized apartments. Houses average $107,000, which sounds impossible until you experience lake-effect snow that could break your spirit and your snow shovel simultaneously. Your charming Victorian comes with character, space, and heating bills that remind you geography has consequences. The economy bounced back from the manufacturing exodus with tech firms, healthcare, and enough freelancers to populate a small nation. Downtown gentrification hits select pockets. You might get craft breweries or boarded laundromats, dealer's choice. Here's what nobody warns you about. Rochester gets 100+ inches of snow annually, and the sun disappears like it's avoiding student loan collectors. Your car needs emotional preparation before starting, and spring jumps directly from blizzards to humidity like a confused time traveler. You'll invest heavily in boots, therapy lamps, and enough salt to de-ice small planets. Crime stays rough in some zip codes, but you get top colleges, strong healthcare, and coffee culture that takes itself seriously, even in sub-zero temperatures. Jazz musicians play outside used bookstores in February because apparently cultural dedication doesn't recognize weather patterns. Would you trade sunshine for affordability, character, and culture? Embrace the freeze if snow doesn't scare you and give Rochester a try. St. Louis offers $110,000 houses in a city where the Gateway Arch and toasted ravioli coexist with neighborhoods that feel like different decades entirely. You get Brooklyn vibes next to post-apocalyptic video game settings, proving location really is everything when it comes to real estate survival. Violent crime runs 420% higher than national average in some areas. Not a typo. Definitely affects your homework requirements. Buy wrong and you're signing up for sirens, smashed windows, and lawn chairs permanently welded to porches. Buy right, and you're building equity faster than Amazon packages disappear while sipping $3 craft beer on your private porch. The food scene is criminally underrated. Architecture showcases gorgeous 1800s brick that hasn't collapsed yet, and drivers execute left turns from right lanes while texting because traffic laws are apparently more suggestions than requirements. The combination of character, affordability, and urban culture makes St. Louis feel like a worthwhile experiment. Sit on your front steps at sunset with worn brick warming your back, cicadas humming evening symphonies, and Cardinals games echoing from neighbors' radios until Tuesday night fireworks start going off 2 blocks away for reasons nobody can explain. Are you strategic enough to navigate urban contrasts for serious affordability? Comment Arch City Ready if you can handle the homework. Taking the crown, Detroit proves the best bargains hide behind the worst headlines. You can buy actual houses for under $5,000, real homes for less than decent used cars, in a city that's rebuilding while everyone argues whether it's dead or just napping. Grab a house for less than a used Camry, fix it up with YouTube tutorials and pure stubbornness, and suddenly you've got a backyard where you can hear old Motown drifting from someone's garage, while ribs smoke on a neighbor's grill. Downtown showcases serious tech investment, trendy lofts, and coffee shops with names like Clutch and Grind, while 2 blocks away, you're in post-apocalyptic territory where copper thieves treat utility poles like a personal ATM. The emotional math gets wild. You get space, freedom, and equity that builds instead of just enriching landlords, but you might need window bars and backup generators when infrastructure takes unscheduled vacations. Crime stays brutal in many areas, but parts buzz with genuine artistic energy, mural tours, and coffee culture that makes the adventure feel worthwhile. You're not driving, you're navigating potholes like crater fields that make lunar surfaces look professionally maintained. But when housing costs disappear and you're participating in America's most interesting urban experiment, these challenges become character development opportunities. Would you gamble on dollar houses and Motor City resilience? Detroit offers the rarest thing in modern America, the chance to own real property for almost nothing, while watching a city refuse to quit reinventing itself. Drop Motor City Ready if you're built for the hustle. So there you have it. From Detroit's dollar dreams to Harlingen's heat-soaked reality checks, America still has places where housing costs feel like pricing errors, but every bargain comes with a backstory that explains exactly why it's a bargain. Before you start packing, ask yourself, are you buying cheap because it's smart, or because everyone else already ran away? Can you handle the trade-offs that come with clearance geography? How much adventure are you willing to accept for home ownership that doesn't require generational wealth? What do you think? Ready to take the plunge on Bargain America? Let me know in the comments.